Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Grant Smith of TFS Gaming to discuss the latest Pokémon Sun and Moon trailer, which included the version-exclusive Pokémon and trainer customization. But before we get to that, since this is the first time we've had you on as a guest, what have you thought so far of Pokémon Sun and Moon, Grant?
Hi, Derek. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh man, so the biggest thing that has me excited right now is, weirdly enough, the Alolan forms. I think all those look so cool. But I am super excited for Pokemon Sun and Moon. All the stuff they've been showing so far. I think you can almost just put a Pokemon label on something and I will be immediately enamored. And it will just if it has that look, that Pokemon design, which this game has definitely had, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people complain that they think some of the designs have not looked exactly Pokemon, and I have not gotten that impression hardly at all, really. And I've just really been loving kind of everything they've been showing, and up to and including this most recent trailer. Everything I've been enamored with and just in love with a lot of the designs.
Yeah, I've been saying that pretty much since the beginning too. There's been a few designs here and there that I'm that's a little weak for me, or just not my thing. But for the most part, the designs of these Pokemon have been outstanding, and I think all of them kind of work. I love the theming that they have going on. And yeah, the Alolan Pokemon, God, obviously people love those. The Alolan Exeggutor became a huge thing for a while.
The images I saw of edited Alolan Exeggutor were some of the best.
I love the one of from the first Pokemon movie where they were we thought we created the most powerful Pokemon and we succeeded, and the explosion happened. It's Alolan Exeggutor coming out from the explosion. I was oh my god, that's beautiful.
Its head popping out of the building. Yeah, the one I saw was someone had photoshopped. It was a picture of a guy taking off his shirt and his six-pack, but his six-pack was an 80-something pack just going way up, and it's Alolan Exeggutor's head on the top.
That is amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. These designs have been really well done, and I think, I want to compare it to sort of something like Pokemon Uranium. Obviously a fan game, but I could not get through that game very much because the designs just felt so non-Pokemon to me when I tried it out.
Yeah, Pokemon fan games have always been a weird area for me, because while I am a huge Pokemon fan and I am not naive enough to say that there aren't things that can be improved in the Pokemon formula, it's always it always has this air of, despite being a fan-made thing, this weird insincerity to it. It feels this is no, we're cooler and edgier than Pokemon. I'm that's not what I want from Pokemon. You can still have the childlike wonder that I think Pokemon nails to a T, but also have a lot of useful UI upgrades. I am really hoping HMs are a thing of the past, because as much as I like the move Surf, I don't like the idea that I need someone who knows Cut or Rock Climb or all sorts of these moves that you wouldn't use in a battle, say.
Yeah, and I right now it actually seems like that is the case because of the ride Pokemon, and God, do I hope that's the case, because each ride Pokemon they've shown so far does fulfill that HM need. And we know Surf is still in the game because it was used in this most recent trailer, but still, please get rid of HMs.
Yeah, they're just their necessity, or the inability to forget them naturally. I get the idea of we don't want, toddlers playing this game getting themselves trapped on an island because they've forgotten Surf and released that Pokemon or something. But man, it's just there's so much inconvenience that comes along with that, attempt to safeguard any sort of trapping someone in their file.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest changes you'll see going from the, red, blue, and yellow to more recent games, because just how much more user-friendly the Pokemon has become.
Absolutely. When the recent, when Red and Blue came out on the 3DS, I picked up Blue, and I have not really played it much since, I would say, the release of Gold and Silver. And going back to that and forgetting, oh man, there aren't different pockets in your bag, it's just one big bag. And by one big bag, I mean one way too small bag, because you are constantly managing how much stuff is in it, because it has a very limited inventory space. And, I was I did not miss this at all. The people who were Pokemon has been bad since, Gen 3 or something, have forgotten all of these little details that Pokemon has just managed to fix over time.
Yeah, I couldn't, I knew that there was a limited space in the bag, but I couldn't remember how small it was. And then I was shocked when the PC had limited inventory. I'm oh, that's okay.
That's crazy!
Because I'm stocking up on all these TMs. I'm oh, I'll use it at this point or something like that. And I'm getting full. I'm what the hell?
Yeah, it's like I want to save these TMs, and it's just like, well, you kind of need to use them because otherwise you're just throwing them away. Oh, great. Well, then I guess I will teach this Raticate Bubble Beam because I can't just throw this TM away, and I'd like to use it on someone.
Oh boy, yeah, it's funny, but that's why I'm so excited for Sun and Moon, because a lot of the changes I've seen so far and have just been for the better, almost unanimously, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like, there are so many little things that like I'm looking forward to, like them adding. Like I'm really curious about how the island challenges and stuff are gonna go, and like things like that. Like just the shift from the classic like get 8 badges, go to Elite 4, wash, rinse, repeat. Like, as much as I do love that feeling and like the sense of progression, I am absolutely ready to see a new take on it.
Yeah, and I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with that, because it is so different. We have these island captains, we have totem Pokemon, we have kahunas that we have to fight, there's these Z moves that we still haven't fully figured out yet.
Oh, Z moves look so cool!
Which is your favorite so far?
I really like the Snorlax one, the pulverizing pulverizing pancake. I've been really bad at names this gen, honestly. Like just the trailers has been tough for me to keep up with a lot of names, but that one looks really good. I think the coolest looking is the new Eevee one we saw from this recent trailer. Like, it looks amazing, and what interests me is the fact that like Pikachu I can kind of see, but Eevee getting one, like, not fully evolved Pokemon getting these Z moves makes me interested, because like at first I was like, the Z moves are going to be like the ultimate move of its type or something, and it's going to be like something that you would have like near end game or something. But if Eevee is getting one, that implies that it's like stuff that is not exclusive to like later Pokemon or late game kind of stuff, because you wouldn't be using, say, an Eevee near end game. By then you would more than likely have it evolved. So if this is an Eevee specific move, that means you'll be getting these Z moves earlier than at least I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. I like, I do these analysis for the channel and whatnot, and I was kind of surprised when I noticed that, hey, you get the Z ring after you beat Hala, the first Kahuna. And that's how it seems like that's how early you get that.
Oh, wow.
That
okay,
Z ring, and it's I think that's right around level 15 or something like that. So pretty early in the game, all things considered. And I don't know the full workings of everything yet, but from what I can tell, it seems like Z moves are attached to certain moves of that type. So if you're using the electric Z move, then it's associated with an electric move that you already have in your party, and I believe it'll take sort of that base power and sort of multiply it in order to work for your Z move.
Okay,
which
that makes sense.
Which I think is what they're going to use in order to keep it sort of balanced as you go through. Obviously, as you get stronger, the moves will become more powerful and all that stuff. But early on, you don't have this amazing move that you can just pull out to take down everything.
Yeah, kicking off with like, the Z move equivalent of Thunder versus like this Z move is based off of Thunder Shock. So it's a lot less power behind it, but still looks cool as hell.
Yeah, it seems very smartly designed, and I think that's the thing I can, at least on just looking at it right now, everything about this game seems very smartly designed so far.
Yeah, I am liking a lot of the changes they're making. The showing of like just you riding and doing different stuff with Pokemon, like, makes so much sense in the universe and like from a world building standpoint. Like, I get that the HMs were kind of there to be like, look, your Pokemon are doing stuff in the overworld too, but it like still felt like a very disconnected, like, you could have given me hedge clippers instead of the HM1 for cut, and this would have worked just the same. But like the stuff where like you're riding a Tauros and like ramming through a wall or something, or like, like riding a Sharpedo going through the ocean or flying around on a Charizard, like, that feels so much more integral to like a world that would be inhabited by Pokemon, and makes so much more sense. Like, it feels like the logical step up from the stuff that was in like Black and White and X and Y, where it's like you have to ride a Rhyhorn in this area or ride on this Mamoswine to get through this really deep snow. Like, it feels like the big step up from those, that I'm hoping it is like much more ubiquitous throughout the world, rather than just like, on this exact one route you ride this thing and do this one cool thing that feels like something an in Pokemon world thing would have, and instead just spread it out and make it all over the place.
That's the big hope for me too, and it really looks like that'll be the case. Like riding on Skiddo was fun in X and Y, but ultimately pointless.
Yeah,
unless you wanted to jump a fence.
Yeah, it was something to just do to be like, hey, check it out, it's a Skiddo, and I'm riding it. Well, all right, I can't really do anything from here other than ride this, so I guess I'm getting off.
Bye. But yeah, even just something as simple as, like, one of the things that still impresses me the most is just this tiny thing that's completely insignificant, yet they have that sort of stylized thing that'll pop up when you get close to another trainer. So, like, hey, these black bars are coming up on the screen. There's a trainer that's going to challenge you soon. So if you don't want to fight them, it makes it a lot easier to actually avoid those fights.
Yeah, you immediately know, like, okay, someone's watching me here, and I can't wait, because I'm positive they'll have this, because they've had a route like this in almost every game, but where there are, like, Ninja Boy trainers or something, like, hidden in the grass, and I can't wait for the moment where you see those black bars, and you can't see the trainer that is seeing you, and, like, you just know, it's like, all right, someone's jumping up somewhere, it's gonna happen, and just, like, take, like, 2 steps, and then, like, you just see that exclamation point pop out of the grass, you're like, oh, there he is, like, got him, but, like, just can't wait for that feeling of just, like, oh, no, there's someone here.
They're watching me. They're ready. So I gotta ask, Pokemon Sun or Pokemon Moon? What you gonna get? Or what you looking at?
So earlier this month, I actually put up a Twitter poll about it because I think both Solgaleo and Lunara both look cool. Like, I do not have, like, a favorite from them. Like, I like the day-night cycle difference. Like, both of those I felt fine starting on. So I set up a Twitter poll and basically went, which one should I said buy, but I honestly mean start with, because I'm going to buy both eventually. Yeah. So I set that up there, and amazingly, until, like, it got, like, a few thousand votes, it was split straight down the middle, 50-50, and, like, just, like, that amazes me, because I don't feel like I've ever seen a Pokemon game that is divisive. Like, it is typically, like, overwhelmingly, like, someone's like, well, I want the cool one, so I'm gonna get black or diamond or something. Like, you know, like, I feel like one always kind of won out in the end, and this one seems to be, like, very evenly distributed on what people want. But at the end of the poll, it was 52%, I think, said Moon, so that's what I'm gonna go with, because, like, honestly, like, I like them both. I'm interested in the, you know, specifics from both of them. And I am kind of psyched, though, that I do get Lycanroc. His forms were revealed after I had set up that poll, and I do like the Midnight form quite a bit. So I'm kind of psyched that that's the one I'm getting.
Yeah, I was sort of presetting myself up for a segue, because we have our version exclusives, and Lycanroc Midday form and Midnight form, which, man, is it hard to choose between these two. I think I slightly prefer the midday form more, but again, Midnight still looks pretty cool, because you're going with a classic.
Midnight looks like a strange, like, almost reject Sonic villain, and I'm so into it.
Oh my god, I can't miss that. I can't unsee that now.
It's just like, this is Sonic's rad fox older brother. Like, I'm just like, yeah, go, Lycanroc, you're the best.
Yeah, he just, like, those crazy eyes, and how he's just, I mean, he really is a werewolf Pokemon. It totally
and it's just
fits.
like, it's like little description is like how it, like, you know, its eyes light up when it's excited by, like, the tension of battle, and I'm like, oh, this looks like the anime anti-hero that I would want on my RPG party. So I'm down.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially comparing the two, because midday form is, especially for a rock type, and I think that's why I've been so interested in Rockruff ever since it was announced, because usually rock Pokemon have a very typical look, you know.
Yeah, they have the "we are rocks" aesthetic.
Exactly. And Rockruff was that first time that we got something a little different, and I like that. And then with Lycanroc Midday, it always talks about how much faster it is, and how it has Accelerock, which is basically it's the rock quick attack, and, you know, wow, a fast-moving rock type, which...
Yeah, that's super interesting, and I love that they're putting so much, like, turning so many things on their heads in this game. Like, there's so many things like that are popping up left and right, where it's like, normally types interact like this, or do this, but now it's this, and just, like, a real cool twist. And yeah, a fast rock type is, like... I don't think we've really had that.
No, and I'm on with you, and it's so cool. I'm really excited for it. Yet, like you, I am leaning towards Moon. I didn't do a Twitter poll or anything like that, but Moon is just sort of where I've been kind of gravitating to. And, Lycanroc Midnight form is obviously this traditional slow one, but it comes with counter, which I haven't used counter a whole lot. I know it can be pretty devastating if you know what's coming and have the physical move ready. But yeah, I mean, both of them
That is always such a gamble. Just the being all right, I'm gonna eat a hit, but then I'm gonna wail on him the next turn, and just be but I hope this one hit is the type of hit I think it is, and I hope it doesn't kill me. Let's go.
That's stressful, especially. You really do have to sort of just figure out what moves they have and okay, what have they been using? What are they going to keep using? And pray that you actually get it right.
Yeah, exactly. And being a rock type, that makes me, I guess, not sure. They've been flipping so much stuff on its head, maybe not. But I'm rock types typically have a high physical defense, so maybe counter will be good, but maybe they're flipping the script so much that this is just no, it's just a rock elemental. Its skin isn't hard like rocks, it's still just a fox. So who knows? But hopefully we can find a way to make this work.
Yeah. Oh man, it's really cool. But yeah, then we have our other version exclusive Pokemon, Passimian and Oranguru.
Now, as much I do like Oranguru, I do think between the two, I do prefer Passimian. That rugby football playing gorilla just looks rad.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's has this whole did you read its sort of bio in the website where it's
I didn't see the bio. I from the trailer what I picked up, does it have a cool backstory or
it kind of does. It's basically they live in teams. They talk about how they live in troops of 20 to 30 individuals all following a leader, and that leader the leader will pick out 10 of the individuals in the best condition to search for food, and they'll it's all about training and getting their teamwork up, and they'll pass their berries, which is what they're holding, and to confuse the enemies and come up with these tactics and whatnot. And if they're not good enough, Passimians will end up leaving because they just can't make the cut. And it's they got this whole I love the theming behind a lot of these Pokemon. We've seen it before with Pyukumuku or Mimikyu, and again we have it with Passimian, where this they take this theme that they've come up for with this Pokemon and just go with it. I love it.
And make a nature-esque reasoning for it. I can just imagine the nature documentary of Passimian just be the alpha male or quarterback chooses its teammates. It's would be so perfect.
It's really amazing. Now, what draws you to Passimian? Just because of its design, or do you
I've always liked the more kind of physical looking Pokemon design. I've always been into fighting type and stuff like that, and a lot of dark types, which is another one of my favorite types. Just has the more kind of angular and looks kind of bruiser types, whereas Oranguru definitely looks more it'll be a special Pokemon. What interests me though with both of those is that I feel they are very doubles, 2v2 focused. Both of them have either abilities or specific moves that are based on things that will only really happen in double battles, and that makes me wonder if that's going to be a way more present thing in throughout the main campaign of the game, because double battles and stuff are the focus of Nintendo's competitive side of things. But I feel double battles have always been kind of a background feature in these games. And with these guys getting moves that are specific to double battles, I am wondering if they will be just way more prevalent throughout.
Yeah, that's sort of my curiosity too, because double battles will be in there. They'll have gym leaders that focus on double battles, but still, I never felt a need to create a team based around double battles. It was never that kind of priority. But then you have Passimian, whose ability is essentially useless unless you're in a double battle.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I feel the biggest extent I ever had in a double battle was okay, I know this guy has Earthquake, and my teammate right now is an electric type, so I don't want to use the move I always default to using on this ground type. That's been basically the most strategizing I've had to work with around doubles in a mainline Pokemon game. So the idea of I have this guy and his ability is just there for when we are in a double battle and his teammate falls. So that's such a weird place to be, and I feel if they are going to make a Pokemon that is that dedicated to that gimmick, essentially, double battles have to be more prevalent, I would feel.
One would think, or they're just really thinking okay, this Pokemon is for
This is for the competitive crowd.
Yeah, like here's one for you guys, and really change it up. And Oranguru feels, as you said, the same way. It's just that its sort of double battle ability is the new move Instruct, and my God, it is devastating in that trailer. You're like watching it like use Surf once and then instructing it to use Surf again, and it has telepathy, which allows it to avoid those attacks and just devastate the other side. It's like, that's
so good.
Yeah. And
I can't wait to see that in like the Pokemon like video game championship stuff, like, because I can just see that being abused like crazy. Like I have no idea like exactly what the strategies are, because I'm not the best competitive Pokemon player, but like how much doubles affect stuff, I can see that being a huge factor.
Well, a few people have mentioned this already in our comments, but here's this. Mega Kangaskhan, who has the ability to go twice, and then using Extract on that Mega Kangaskhan.
4 hits from a single Pokemon. That's nuts. I love it.
Isn't that, like, I think that's what makes it, like, so insane but exciting, but also, like, it can't be this broken, can it? Or is it?
Well, it's one of those things where like they're doing so many things that are like that. At least when I am seeing them, like seem like they are like nuts in a competitive sense. Like there's the one, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. The ground type horse.
Mudsdale.
Mudsdale, yeah, where it like gets stronger, just like its defense just goes up every turn, and I'm just like, that seems like it would be the most frustrating thing to deal with in a competitive battle, where it's just like protect, defense up one stage, like just like, oh my gosh, like. Just out of the gate, being able to be strong like that seems nuts. But I feel like they do this every generation, where there's something that just absolutely like blows away what the competitive scene looks like now, and then like just the metagame develops around it. And I'm so excited to see what happens with all of the stuff they are revealing.
Yeah, between the Z moves and these specific Pokemon, it's. I think we're in for some pretty exciting battles, because I'm like you, I'm not the biggest competitive player at all. I am very much when it comes to Pokemon, I enjoy playing through the single player and not really worrying about battling anybody else, because I'm probably going to get destroyed. But still, just seeing the possibilities does make me excited, and I'm curious how people are going to handle balancing the Z moves and the Mega Evolutions and these new like abilities, and what is going to happen.
I am sad, since the Z move stuff is based on a hold item. It is kind of a bummer for me to think like you won't see a Mega Pokemon using a Z move. So there won't be like a Mega Charizard X specific fire extreme move something. Like that's just the anime shonen jump type fan in me who just wants to see the absurd escalation. Like, is a little sad that that's not apparently going to be a thing. But
there is one exception to that. Mega Rayquaza, who doesn't require a Mega Stone.
That's true. He could have the crazy Mega Z move, the one and only that just obliterates everything.
You thought he was broken before. Here you go.
Yeah, get ready.
Oh man, it's exciting, and that's only part of the game, like part of the trailer. That's just the sort of the basics, because we also have the official reveal of customization coming back. And boy, was that... I did really miss that in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Yes, definitely. Like the trainer stuff, like getting that like... Oh, when I saw like the boys getting different hairstyles, like I am kind of a nerd in that I love to play like dress up with my RPG characters and stuff, and like I felt like the guy side of X and Y missed out on that so much, because like you could have like different hair color and like slightly different like I think complexion and like maybe facial expressions, but like your hairstyle I feel like was pretty static. And this one, like, just it seems like they went nuts on hairstyles and designs and stuff, and I'm so excited to just customize my guy and then like change his look every few gyms or something. Be like, all right, now that we've gotten this many badges, our confidence is up, so we're gonna have this cool hairstyle. Like, just different role-playing mental things going on while I'm playing.
It looks fantastic. Like, just all the little things that you can change. And I think it's actually one of the most exciting things that I've seen within this is they've shown that you can buy the same shirt that Dexio was wearing in the previous trailer, that Alolan Executor shirt.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I'm like, can we buy any clothing? Can we, like, let's go nuts here. Can we buy the Team Skull outfit?
Oh, man. Team Skull. I have not gotten to talk about this yet, now that I think about it. I am such a big fan of Team Skull. Like, I love their aesthetic. I love that, like, they seem to be, like, the first, like, Pokemon battle theme that has, like, lyrics.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Like, because they've got like rap stuff going on like the underside of like their music, and like just I love their look, and just and that comes along with, I think that same trailer also revealed that like different trainers have different Pokeballs, which is such a nice world building touch. Like, just so many little things this game is doing that is like ticking all of my boxes. And it's just like, this is what I want in a more realized Pokemon world in a video game.
And it's such a subtle callback too, because these guys are gangsters, not gangsters in the same way as Team Rocket, but still gangsters. They're not these.
We are back to a gang.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting in its own way, but that also brings up the question: the Ether Foundation, good or evil?
Like I can see them like being the like shadowy big bad like at the end. Like at first they are presented to you like as positives, but then like somewhere along the lines like it is like this revelation that like, oh wait, like they are using science for bad also. Or they could just be like a science foundation that is totally good-hearted and everything's fine, and it's just the cynic in me that wants to see evil in every big team that's introduced.
Because it would be, both options are kind of wild, because one, we got the more, obviously they're evil and they're bad, they're secretly against you, and that kind of makes sense, I guess, thematically or just whatever. But it's also kind of cool. It's like, oh, we have allies. We have people that are willing to help us actually stop Team Rocket or Team Skull.
Yeah, Team Rocket Skull.
Yeah. Giovanni's behind it all. He's funding Guzma.
He's at it again. And like, I like that Guzma seems to be like he was talking to the professor and being like, hey, I failed the island test or something, or I wasn't good enough. And just like I like that is a cool motivation. Like, I don't need every game to be like this, like, I have this world-ending plan to, like, conquer Earth, but just being this guy who's like, no, I'm on this revenge quest because I'm mad because I was rejected by the good guys for X reason. And like, I'm way more interested in the small story than in the bombastic, like, the universe will bend to my will because I now have the god of time and space.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how you can sort of raise the stakes by lowering the scope.
Yeah, make it a much more personal thing, and that, to me at least, makes it a lot more interesting. And I can get the escalation, like, as I was talking about how I'm a big fan of that before, like, I can get why that would be tempting, but I feel like the last, like, 4 or 5 Pokemon games has been like, everything is at stake here, we have to do it, and like, I could really use just a more personal, like, I'm going to ruin the economy of this Pokemon Island archipelago because I'm just a bad guy and a gangster. Like,
yeah, I forget the name of it, but the epilogue in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. How do we up this game? We got a meteor coming towards the Earth.
Yeah, a meteor is plummeting towards the Earth, and it just so happens that Deoxys is living on it. Who knew?
What do you know? Yeah, I'm fine either way, but I do like the idea of it being smaller. But then, since we haven't brought this up either for you, Ultra Beasts. What are those?
Oh, those are so... I am incredibly intrigued by those, because like they're like they have not told us much about them, and they just kind of like appear in, and like there's the one that like the only one that I think like kind of looks like a Digimon is the Ultra Beast 2, the Power Form or whatever it's called, the
Absorption,
yeah, like that thing like is such like they have such odd designs, but like are kind of like oddly all human, like humanoid in a weird way, and I am really interested in seeing like what their story is. Like, are they going to be like our our legendary like trio? Is that what they are? Or,
well, they say there's more coming.
Oh, well, okay, well then maybe there will be significantly more than the typical legendary trio on this one. Like, again, they're turning everything on its head, so who knows where we're going with this.
I mean, we don't even know if they're Pokemon in the
they could just be like I'm not gonna say like trainers, but like just a weird thing that you don't capture, but you have to fight, and it's just like a boss battle.
And that'd be wild in its own way. Like, you can't capture this. These aren't technically Pokemon, but you still need to battle them with your Pokemon, which, wow. I mean, it's kind of taking a cue from the anime when Ash fights all those mechanical contraptions by Team Rocket.
Yeah, like stuff like that, and like, which if that's the case, I'm also completely... like, I'm perfectly down with that, too. Although it will be frustrating to fight something and be like, and this can never be on your team. Like, that is a sad feeling, but, that's boss fights in an RPG. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's like, I want it, but you can't have it, but I want it.
Pokemon is all about letting me have anything I fight, right?
Exactly. But going back to the outfits real quick and the customization, I'm not sure if you noticed this or not, but with the female trainers, when I was doing my most recent analysis, I noticed the female trainer actually had red lips at some point, which makes me think they can wear lipstick, which... Could they really be adding makeup to the female trainer's repertoire?
Oh man, can my dude trainer rock some like punk rock eyeshadow?
Oh man, that'd be awesome. Yeah, like there's just so much more customization than you even really realize at certain points. It's crazy.
Yeah, and like that's with how Pokemon has always been like, you know, customize, build your own team, make this your story. Like I feel like it's like I'm kind of surprised it's taken them this long to really dive into trainer customization. Like, there was the trainer customization in X and Y, but it was very surface, and a lot of it was like there were a lot of clothing options, but for the most part, it seemed very simplistic. And I would love if in this game there's just a lot more to it.
Mm-hmm. And you almost see it a lot more often because there's something exciting about seeing your trainer battling behind, like, instructing the Pokemon.
Trainers being present during battles. Another thing that is just like not something I feel like I ever would have like asked for if someone like gave me a list of things I want. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, of course. Why hasn't that always been the case? This is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, because they've always had those moments like during the big moments of the battle when you're about to win, the other trainer comes in and says, "You don't have me yet. We're still hanging in there."
Yeah. By the way, I'm still here. I'm controlling these. I'm your opponent. Kind of, not really these.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to have the trainer there constantly present so it makes them feel more like they are involved and part of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And you can see them getting into it, like pointing and interacting with them. And again, going back to the X and Y anime, how you see them, like, when they use a move, they're doing these bombastic motions with their hands to help, like, get involved in the battle.
Well, and just, like, the extreme, like, you know, with the Ash Greninja, how it's like, he feels the pain of Greninja every time it gets hit. Like, just, like, I wonder, like, because I feel like I'm not sure if this has been confirmed or just rumored that like Ash Greninja would be in these games, but like if something along those lines exists, where there's like this mental bond you forge with like your starter or something, and like you just see the trainer like, you know, holding his gut, like if you get like hit by a tackle or something, or like, you know, just getting really into the motions in the background, like I would be so for that. And things like the Z moves where it's like pantomiming what you're doing, like all kinds of stuff. There's so much I'm excited for. and dudes don't have to wear hats.
No,
what a world we live in.
We don't. We can go hatless and just see our crazy anime hair. Actually, that reminds me. I completely forgot to bring this up. Now, did you hear this sort of? I forget. I think it was from a Kora magazine or something of the like. One of the Japanese magazines, where they said that Rockruff has a connection to the starter Pokemon, and everybody was speculating, like, what does that mean? Is Rockruff like a fourth starter, or what are they going for here? And now we see Lycanroc. So a lot of people are now taking that as like, could the starters each have a different evolution depending on whether you're playing Sun or Moon?
Oh man, like I've heard like those kind of like rumors and people like theorizing and talking about that, and I would absolutely be for that. A lot of people have been like, I want a game where everything is in it and it's just one cartridge and I've got it all. But I like the idea of the, like, this is forcing you to socialize with other people or spend more money, whichever one's easier for you, I guess. But like the idea of like, no, everyone's Pokemon experience is different. Like I started with, you know, Moon, and I'm starting with Litten, and my Litten turns into this crazy fire-breathing, like, ground Pokemon, and then someone else plays and they're like, I started with Litten, but I have Sun, and he became this absurd fire, like, bug cat. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of shows, like, again, customization, how different you can be, because all of a sudden, rather than 3 different choices, you have 6 different choices to go from, and I don't know, it gets kind of mind-blowing, because they really are all about forms this time around. There's so many different forms for Pokemon.
Yeah, and just like, you know, it reminds me of the excitement that I had where, you know, in Gen 3 with Wurmple going to Beautifly and Dustox, how it's just like, it's a invisible stat that's determined at birth, and like you just don't see it, and just like me and my friend both having a Wurmple when we first started, and like, you know, he's like, mine evolved into this thing called Silcoon, and then mine starts evolving and it evolves into Cascoon, and I'm like, why is mine different? What happened? And just like not knowing until years later why it was different, and just that fun awe and mystery the first time you do something, and just being like, how is it different? Why is it different? This is the coolest. Like, why? Like, our adventures are unique to us, and I think that's a big pervasive, like a constant message Pokemon has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it always finds ways to just keep you invested. I mean, I grew up in the 90s. I still remember everybody was talking about how Pokemon would just be a fad.
Yeah. Oh man, if I could just see the look on like some of my friends' faces when I was like still in the 6th or 7th grade, being like, "No, man, Pokemon's still cool," and then just being like, "No, we're grown-up kids now. Now we're teenagers. We gotta play these. I'm playing Grand Theft Auto," and just being like, Pokemon's, it's had its time. It's passed. I'm sure it's done now. And just look at me now. I'm in my late 20s, and I'm like so psyched for this new video game.
I think I've said this before on these type of discussions, but I swear to God, the best decision I ever made in college was getting back into Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because boy, has that helped me in my current day. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being like, graduating high school, and I'm pretty sure like around 07, I want to say that was Diamond and Pearl, maybe,
mm-hmm.
And just like playing those and still being like, no, I'm still into this. I still love this, and just like sitting in high school at lunch or something playing Pokemon and being like, yeah, like I might be like one of 3 people doing this, but then like a few years later at college being like, hey, I've got my DS with Heart Gold, and like a friend's like, I've got Soul Silver. Really? Like, you still play too? Awesome! And just like it being this new social, like, none of us care if people think this is cool anymore because we're adults,
mm-hmm.
and we're totally fine being open with our hobbies.
Yeah.
And how Pokemon has now kind of in a weird way become part of my job, and just like, cool, I'm absolutely fine with this.
This is A-okay.
Yeah, if I can wake up in the morning and go like, well, I've got to think more about Pokemon, I guess that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, I'd say so. But before we move on from the trainer customization, I wanted to ask you, did you notice one of the shirts? I'm sure it's been brought up a lot on Twitter and whatnot. I've seen people pointing it out. But one of the shirts that the female trainer wears has what appears to be a toucan on it, which has led to a lot of speculation. Is like, oh, could this be a toucan Pokemon? Because normal animals don't exist in this world. So
that is true, and I remember that shirt, but I hadn't really even thought about that fact. But yeah, that is a very good point, and we are in Hawaii, like, Pokemon Hawaii, and toucans are a tropical bird, so the story fits.
Yeah.
I can totally see it.
Bring it on. That's all I gotta say. I mean,
definitely.
That's sort of how I'm like, you're like, oh, an animal we haven't used yet? Yeah, use it. Make a Pokemon out of it.
Go for it.
There's so many more. I mean, that's sort of my default reaction to that kind of thing. But the thing that struck me so weird is when I was taking a closer look at it was, it looks normal. It
looks like it's just a toucan.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, yeah. Usually it resembles a the animal, but
it normally has some sort of like. But since it's a fire toucan, its wings have this orange like frill on them or something. Like,
yeah.
There's usually something there to give away like what type it is or something.
Nope, not for this. Which, who knows? Maybe there'll be something. I almost think it'll be something kind of like Chatot, where it's a normal flying. It has a kind of gimmick to it, and there you go.
Yeah, it's this is the island toucan who really likes shiny things, so it automatically steals items with some hits. I don't know. Just
that makes sense to me.
Think. There you go. Boom. Pokemon.
Done. Perfect.
Put me on the team, guys. I've got it figured out.
Perfect. Oh boy. Well, continuing on, we also got our first look at Pokemon Refresh, which is basically the replacement for Pokemon Ami. And have you looked into exactly what the gimmick is for Refresh?
I mean, it looked like Pokemon Ami to me, but also it had like it was like healing stats or statuses. Like it was clear that like that Eevee was paralyzed, or I think a Pikachu was like poisoned or something when they did it. But the one that interested me the most was Oranguru. When he was doing it, he was like dripping, and I don't know, like it's probably way more likely like it's a grooming thing where he was washed and they were drying him off. But I was like, is there like a new like drenched status effect or something? But like,
you're close. Basically,
okay.
Thanks to the Pokemon website, they
divulge more into it.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that at all either, and then they talked a bit about it. I was like, oh, this is what it does. Basically, it's Pokemon during battle, your Pokemon can get essentially dirty, and refresh is a way to clean them up. So obviously, you have a way to at least cure poison and paralyze. There's no word yet on the others, but I have a feeling it's probably just going to be limited to those two.
Turn on this hairdryer and your Pokemon won't be frozen anymore.
Yeah, that's a possibility. That'd be really cool. But I sort of take it as like, hey, this Pokemon got hit with Mudshot and it's all dirty, so now you got to use a washcloth and clean it off that way. Or in a Rangaru's case, it got hit by surf. It's all wet. You got to dry it off. So it's sort of like this way of encouraging interaction and having a more natural way to interact with your Pokemon during a Mii, rather than just, I'm going to pet you now for a little bit, which always felt like I enjoyed Pokemon Mii, but I was also got kind of tired of it after a while.
I loved its effects far more than like the mini game itself. I loved the idea of like, there'd be like the little text boxes during battle where like it looked back at you knowingly and hit a critical hit or something, or like it nods slowly like after you like issued an attack and like made sure it hit or didn't miss, or like it held on because it cared about you about its trainer. Like I love stuff like that. So if like it's going to get to involve more things like that, I am absolutely in favor of Pokemon Refresh.
They totally confirmed that they, like, as you build up your connection with them, the same effects will happen. They'll hang on, or they'll get critical hits or something like that. It's really cool. It basically is Pokemon Mii, just you're cleaning up Pokemon now. And
that's fine. Like I guess Again, that's one of those things where like that perfectly makes sense. Like if you are hit with Gunk Shot or Sludge Bomb or something, it's just like now your Pokemon's just kind of gross after that fight. Like, sure, yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah, I'll clean it up. It needs some TLC. We'll give it to it. No, I actually the more I think about that, the more I kind of like it, because it does sort of build up that connection. It's like, oh, you poor thing, I need to, just get the dust out of your hair or dry you off because you're soaking wet.
Yeah.
It's, not anything major, but still kind of cool in its own way.
Yeah, definitely. And like it's one of those things where like, might not be like a game changer, but it will be like one of those little things where it's just like at the end of your Pokemon journey when you're like looking at your team and just being like, man, little, Turtonator, I remember that time that you got all muddy and I had to clean you up, and that's what like pushed your friendship level over the edge, so like you'd cure statuses on your own. Like, good on you, buddy. Like, thanks, man.
You did good.
You did good. We did this Elite Four challenge together.
I mean, we already talked a little bit about the Z-moves, but that basically covers everything from the new trailer. And I mean, I've said this multiple times by this point, but I'm still super excited about this game. There's nothing about it that I have not enjoyed on some level, and God, we still have 2 months to wait.
I know. Like that's what keeps killing me, is like I'm loving all this information and stuff, but every time those trailers end and it says like November 18th, I'm like, that might as well be a million years from now. Like, come on, you're killing me.
Yes, why are you doing this to me? And especially because the information has just been coming so often. Like, they've already announced when they're dropping the next bit of info, October 4th. So it's just like,
even that sounds far away. And I know it's not, but it feels like it.
It does sometimes, but they've done so much, and I feel like they've revealed a lot, but I still feel there's still like that idea, like, I really don't know that much about this game on the whole.
I feel like I've learned a lot of small details about something enormous, and it's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, you've learned like I know that Team Skull exists, and I know like these Pokemon, and I know that instead of gyms, like it seems like there's this island challenge thing. But to be honest, like, I know about the totem Pokemon, but I still don't know exactly what that means. Like, it looks like I'm fighting something after like a physical challenge of some sort.
Yeah, and that brings up the trial captains. We've only seen 4 of them.
Yeah, like are there only 4 trials, and this is like the islands are really big and spaced out, and like this is way more Team Skull focused? Is there like, do we only know a few of the trial captains and there's way more? And like, is there an Elite Four? How does this work?
Yeah, how does it end? How does they cap this off? We have no idea. And speaking of the trial captains, I noticed something in, I think it was the trailer before this one, where there was it was the overview trailer where they introduced Samson Oak, which, God, I love that. Even he has an Alolan form.
I've seen so many photoshops of Samson Oak looking like Ansem from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Great.
Oh my God. But in that same one, there's this very quick, like, blink and you miss it part where they show the 4 trial captains, and they're each doing the pose for the different elements Z moves. So,
oh wow, I didn't see that. That's great.
Yeah, which to me, I mean, this is sort of my own crazy theory. I don't know if it's right or anything like that. But if they're teaching you the Z move poses, could that mean that there's 18 different trial captains?
Oh man,
one for each move.
I love that. I love that idea. Like, I'm totally down for that being like, you have to earn these Z moves, and it's just like well, I want to get the fire Z move, so I need to fight the fire trial captain. Let's go. Like,
yeah, it's another great way to balance things and change things up, and like make each of these trials feel worthwhile because you're powering up your Z moves the entire time.
Also, I'm the Eevee or the Eevee trial master. I just have all the Eevee forms, and here's the Eevee Z move.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how they handle that sort of thing with these exclusive ones. Like Snorlax is obviously a get the game early enough and here you go. But for Eevee and Pikachu, does that come naturally? Do you have to do something special? What do I got to do?
Don't worry, your Z-Ring comes preloaded with the Pikachu dance. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's not complex at all. We just got to do this thunderbolt motion, the ears, the cheeks, whatever.
Yeah, classic Pikachu stuff. And then you throw it. Don't worry, Pikachu will be fine.
It'll land somewhere.
Everything will be all right.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Well, we're talking about the Z moves. I guess just before we cap this off, we might as well just cover everything. What do you think of this whole search for the Zygarde cells and cores?
That is super interesting to me because, like, I feel like this Sun and Moon there was at some point a Pokemon Z that was like planned or ready to go, and it was gonna be Zygarde focused. And then at some point, like, someone in the dev team was just like, why don't we just push this to the new games and like really make those like balls to the wall crazy and new and like just full of stuff. And just at some point they're just like, yeah, all right, like, we don't need to do the third game of this duo. Like, we can just jump to the next generation. And like, because Zygarde feels like such an afterthought to X and Y, and like him getting all of this spotlight in Sun and Moon while there's all of this other stuff going on just feels like this, and we really had all of these cool ideas for Zygarde, we just didn't have space for them in its own game, so here you go, there's also this. And like, just how that's gonna work seems crazy to me.
Yeah, and it really does feel like that, because there was a gap between Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and Sun and Moon. No Pokemon game came out that year. That's perfect place to just slot in.
Such a long year.
Oh, I was relieved after that, to be honest, just because I did so much for Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that I was burnt
I'm a crazy
out.
person in that I feel like you could drop a Pokemon game just every year and I would be like, yep, nope, perfect timing. I was just feeling ready for it.
If you look back, I think there's only been like 3 or 4 years in the past 20 where there's been no Pokemon.
They've skipped a year, yeah.
So you're in good shape that way.
I'm in a good place. Me and Pokemon Company our biological clocks are in line.
We're seeing this eye to eye.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well, just any final thoughts on Sun and Moon and this new trailer or anything in general?
Not specific to this trailer. I think it was the trailer before this. But I want to know more about that Type Null Pokemon.
Oh,
that thing looks so cool. Like, it looks like it was designed by an 8th grader. It's just like, I don't know, create something that you would describe as badass. And he's like, well, here you go.
What even has that built-in 8th grader type thing was like, it's so powerful it needs to be limited.
Yeah, it wears this helmet to make sure it doesn't lose its mind.
Take off the helmet and it can even rival the legendaries. And it's like, boy.
Also, it has fins, I guess.
And bug claws, and it's crazy.
That thing looks super cool, and the Team Skull.
Gladion. The Enforcer.
Gladion, yeah, like he just looks like, also 8th grade image of cool guy, like just Shadow the Hedgehog, the Pokemon trainer.
Exactly, because this whole battle animation when he starts is like holding his hand and it's like flinching and it's like it's like holding back his own power.
I'm so angsty. Go Type Null. I'm really curious about that. Like, that is honestly like there's a ton of stuff that I'm really interested in, but like that thing just looks so alien compared to other than the Ultra Beasts. I think it is like the most like weird looking, but it's still definitely Pokemon. So I'm like, is this like just like Team Skull decided to fuse a bunch of Pokemon together, and this is just what happened. And now they're stuck with it.
I have no idea. There's so many different ways you can go with that, and I honestly think because I don't know if you noticed this with your rival, but he uses the Pokemon that's weak to your starter.
Yeah,
so
which is so odd.
Yeah, where's the rival that's strong against yours? Which makes me think that Gladion might be more of a rival than anything else.
Yeah, that's entirely possible, and like maybe type Null, like with that weird name, like maybe that's just like maybe it's just like it doesn't matter what type you use on it, it's stronger, like it works. And like there are so many crazy things that could be in this game, and it's so weird because they've been giving us so much information, but I feel like this is oddly enough the Pokemon game we know the least about going in, despite it having way more trailers than I'm pretty sure X and Y or Black and White ever did.
Yeah, it's pretty much like they have to, like, we gotta explain so much about this game. There's so much to talk about, but we don't want to reveal too much. So here you go. Here's a taste, and boy, it's crazy. I hope to God, like we've already had a few leaks here and there, like those Chinese leaks where they revealed a few things, but people were so unsure about them that they didn't really feel like leaks because it was like, this is too crazy. And
like,
then
this can't be right.
Yeah, it's too, nah. And then it's real. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Well, Alolan forms, that's nuts!
Who would have guessed? So, yeah, I so hope the rest of this game does not get leaked. I want to go into this.
I want to be surprised. Like, the big Pokemon moments for me are always when I am playing these games and I encounter a Pokemon like in the wild that I've never seen before, and just my mind like reverts to me being 10 years old, and I'm like, I want to have that. I want to train it. I want to know everything it learns. I want to figure this thing out. I want to see how it evolves. I want to learn about this, and just like I hope to God that by the end of this like trailer cycle that is not impossible for me to do.
Yeah, seriously. Because there's always that sort of fun moment when you look at a new Pokemon and you're like, alright, I think this is a grass type?
Yeah, I was so nervous when they revealed that thing. Also, a great thing where, you know, it like the moves will show like what their effectiveness is after you have battled this Pokemon before, which I was so nervous when they first revealed that I thought it was like just off the bat it would tell you that, because like so much fun for me is being like, I think that's a grass type. Oh no, it's Sudowoodo, it's rock. No. Like just.
Yeah, that was that whole thing designed for, is you had to use water. Like, why am I watering this tree? What?
Yeah, that was one of the greatest trolls of Pokemon history, where you encounter Sudowoodo and you're like, I've got this. Go, Quilava. Not very effective. What is that? Rock throw. Oh no.
This is all wrong. Oh boy, but alright, I think that covers it for our Sun and Moon discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Grant, where can they find you at?
You can find me at TFS Gaming on YouTube, at Team 4-Star, and at Master Wuggles on Twitter, and the Team 4-Star official Facebook page.
Awesome. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming too. Until next time, guys. Bye.